Just checking in to see who's on. And also, just to clarify, if you're on, you can join the call, join in and call in by going to the event info tab on the top, and it has the call-in information, and you can call in and participate that way.
It's Brett from Kids Oneida.
Hi, Brett.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad you joined.
I know. It's just me today.
So far. Well, just you maybe in more ways than one. I think you mean by Kids Oneida.
By Kids
but
Oneida,
also,
yeah.
We'll see who else. Did someone else call in? Hello? Is someone else on the line?
Yeah, Emily from North Star.
Hi, Emily.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Am I bugging you enough?
You're good.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't need to throw that in. You know what? And it's funny that I have the two of you on. We'll see who else joins. But I was thinking about both of you. Neither of you know each other, but Kids Oneida and North Star yesterday, because I was kind of trying to play with the schedule a little bit. But actually, and that's not the purpose of the call. So, but if we get to that, that would be great. We'll see who else joins. Well, you know what? Actually, while we're waiting, we'll see if anyone else joins. But yeah, setting up the visit. So, Brittany, I know Kids Oneida. I'm scheduled to go there on November 13th, right?
Yep.
I think. Okay, good. And you don't know this, Brittany, but as I was talking to Emily yesterday, I'm also planning on going up to North Star and seeing and meeting with Emily and her crew up there. So I was trying to figure out a way of doing it and doing both, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. You guys are pretty far away from each other.
Where's North Star?
In Malone.
Oh, yeah. We're pretty far away.
Well, only 3 hours, only 3.5 hours. In upstate, you know, in upstate terms, that's not too bad.
That's very true.
So yeah, I was kind of trying to see, but I was kind of thinking maybe if I go to like North Star or do like Kids Oneida the afternoon before and then drive up overnight, and I could be at North Star the next day, but I didn't think that was going to happen. But actually, very quickly, I'm sorry. Let me, Emily. So does that work for you? I think where I had left it, I think we were playing kind of tag, and I think you were the last one. Does that date work for you?
Which one, the 13th?
Let me see. Well, I think the last one, because I had sent you. Oh no, you know what?
No,
you said you had some time on 11/23 on the 23rd.
That's
and
right.
And basically, I mean, I think I had mentioned the whole day. You know, it'd be totally up to you. So that it would be, you know, I'll have the day for you, and you know, we'll work around whatever is more convenient for you. So the 23rd works.
Yeah, absolutely. What time do you expect to be here? Just because I'll put it in my schedule, otherwise they'll schedule clients.
Again, you know, it's totally up to your convenience. I mean, I don't want to mess with your schedule. So in terms of like when you're free, I know you said you had some time. You know, it's totally up to you what time would work for you. And this is for both of you, because I just want to maybe take a minute to lay out what will happen. And again, this we can figure out how to schedule it. But as I said, I'd like to have some time to look at the workbooks and do kind of a quick workbook review of what the kids have, what, if anything, the kids have done. And again, I just want to reiterate, we're not expecting a whole lot, so we realized, you know, that wasn't what we were trying to do, but we thought it'd be interesting to look at it. So, and then, you know, whatever data you have, so if you've been collecting the future orientation skills, and actually, if you want to just give me all your data at that time, like the, you know, attendance sheets and the discontinuation forms and whatever else they have. When I do the workbook review, all the other stuff I can check for, meaning the helpfulness scale or the goal sheet. So that's one thing I'll need time for, and that I just need a space for. I don't need anybody. I could just, you know, be alone with the workbooks and do my review. Collect whatever, like I said, collect whatever data you have, and then it'd be great to be able to sit down and kind of debrief and talk with you and your staff about the project, how it went, you know, pros, cons, what worked, what didn't. And I know we've been doing that on the calls as we've gone along, but I thought it'd be giving us an opportunity to go a little bit more in depth.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So, and again, that could be scheduled, whatever. I could do the workbook reviews, and then we'll find time to talk. We can talk first, and then I'll just find a spot. So, those are the details we can work out. But so, Brittany, for you, what time would work best?
Probably, because you're coming on a Friday, so I would assume probably earlier in the day, but
okay.
It's the only thing that I don't know about Nadia and Tiffany, nobody really plans anything on Friday at Kids Oneida because we're on flex scheduling. So a lot of people put in their hours in the beginning of the week and kind of fade out early on Friday.
Right.
I have a 3:30, but I'm free the entire day. So.
Okay. So can I just, and I could, like I said, I could either coordinate with Kristen or everybody together and send you all an email.
Sure.
Just to figure out what time would be best for everybody, what time can I have everybody, because that would be the great thing is if I could have you all in the same room at the same time and we can, you know, have a mini focus group kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, why don't we do like a working lunch? You guys, maybe you can do the workbook reviews in the morning and then we'll meet for lunch. Does that sound okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll even go the next step and say that I will try to see if I can finagle, and I don't think it'll be a big deal, finagle some money for lunch so that I could sponsor. And same to you, Emily, of course. Well, no, I mean, you guys have been great partners. And then the same thing, Emily, I mean, we can figure that out. But if lunch, so let me ask you, Brittany, do you want, should I send an email to all of you just to confirm and just say that, you know, that's what we suggested and we'll see if everybody's in?
Sure. That sounds good.
Okay. And Emily, did we lose you?
Nope, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, good. I'm sorry. No, I just noticed a different number popped up. So, and then for you, Emily, how would that work? What works for you in terms of your time, your schedule, and anybody else that you think should be there?
Well, right now on Monday the 23rd, I'm not actually booked until the afternoon. For you, what time do you think you'd be getting here? Because I don't know with your travel if 8 is a little too early.
No, well, so probably what I'm going to do is, you know, depending on what we decide, I would probably, if it worked better for you to do something like 8 o'clock, I would come in the night before. I would come in the night before, find a place to stay nearby, and be able to get there early.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so don't worry about that. I mean, if 8 o'clock is the best time for you and others, then that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely do 8 o'clock. How long would you like me to block off?
No more than, I mean, again, for the time to talk. Again, just for like the mini, and remind me again, how many people are involved there, Emily?
For staff?
Yeah.
Me.
That's it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I knew you were doing.
Differently. Oh,
right.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We're set up differently here. We are the only outpatient clinic, so we are booked hour to hour, if not every half hour. So I don't really have a co-facilitator. I don't have, you know, a care manager that's helping get things arranged or anything like that. I'm pretty much acting on my own.
Okay. I didn't realize that. That is, so that in terms of our time, then probably no more than an hour, I would say.
Okay. I am going to email... Oh, I'm going to try and get my supervisor there and the clinic manager for the Saranac Lake end, because Danielle, who went to the training with me, hasn't been doing the group. She's had to do other groups, but I was going to see if either one of them wanted to be there as well, just for a little bit more information. Okay, great, great. And I think that would be helpful. Now let me just take a step back. I see a few more people who are joining, I believe, the webinar. Just a reminder, folks, if you're joining the webinar, if you go to the event info tab on top, you can get the call-in information so that you can be a part of the conversation as well. So for those of you who may be on the webinar but not dialed in yet, we're just discussing some site visits to collect some data and get some information. But I believe the two of you are still the only one on. Oh, I still got this message. Andrew?
Yeah, I just joined. Andrew from Goldsmith. Oh, hello?
Yeah, from Goldsmith.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Sorry, we've been a little out of the loop recently.
That's okay. So I guess, you know, I think you're hearing a little bit of some planning, but also, of course, we can spend some time talking about getting you back in the loop and seeing where you are in the loop. So we can definitely spend time on that. So actually, so it sounds like we're set, Brittany and Emily. Anyone else on the call? Okay. So, and Andrew, I apologize for that, but I saw a little bit of time to do some planning. And again, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned it a little while ago, but just in case you weren't on yet, Emily at North Star Behavioral Health and Brittany's at Kids Oneida, they've kind of have wrapped up or are in the middle or running groups and have had groups, and so we're setting up time to do some site visits to get some data and do some debriefing and talk a little bit about the experience. But let's take a minute. Let's take a minute to go back and so the formal agenda is to sort of just get updates on how things are going, get any narratives around KEY and what's happening, to discuss the performance indicators, and then do a little planning for next steps. So very quickly, if I may, Brittany, I know we were just talking about it, but if you can, just what's the update for Kids Oneida? How are you guys doing? I know you wrapped up, right? Or are you still wrapping up?
We're still wrapping up.
Okay.
We're doing lesson 17 today, and it's been going well. It's been going really well.
And I know you took a little bit of a hiatus, right, for the summer.
We did, you know, and we've been doing some future planning for our next round, and going through the summer was just way too hard. It was really hard to get engaged. We'd like to do like a fall and a spring.
Okay. And remind me, I know you have one group, right? How many kids? What's your average attendance?
We have been about 5.
Okay. Okay. One group 5, on average 5 kids.
Yeah. Usually 5 to 7, but bare minimum 4 or 5.
Okay. And Emily, again, how are things going at North Star?
Good. I've started my second round of the group. This week will be my second session for the second group, and it seems to be going well so far. Okay. And again, you went through the entire workbook with another group already previously. Yes. Okay. And then just remind me again, will the workbooks you said the workbooks will be available for review that day that I come? Yes, I keep them.
Okay.
I'm working on all of them, bringing them back from last group. I do have some of them.
Okay. And how many kids do you have in your current group?
I want to say, and not everyone showed, probably about 10.
Okay. Okay, great. And so, Andrew, tell us, how are things going at Goldschmidt? I know you said you were kind of out of the loop. Let's see if we can see where you're at and bring you back into the loop.
Sure. So we were at about, we had a group going pretty strong. We got to about lesson 12 and then had a little bit of a hiatus just because we had a lot of turnover in the program. And also with the summer, there were some other like internal campus-wide, because we were just doing a group with a small little subset of the whole residential program. So okay. there was some other group programming that was campus-wide that kind of interfered with the KEY program. So we kind of got thrown off of KEY for about 2 months, and we're planning on resuming on Monday. So,
with the same kids?
With the same. Some of the same kids, and that's part of, I think, the issue that we're running into is that it's such an ever-revolving population that to have the same subset for like 21 weeks is kind of unrealistic. So that's one of the things we're running into.
Right. Of course, and I know that's an ongoing struggle in many sites.
Mm-hmm.
So how many? So you're going to be getting the group going again. Some of the kids are going to be kids you already had. Some of the kids may be new?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. How many kids are you expecting?
We have about 10.
Okay.
And they come pretty consistently because they're here, so they kind of have to.
Right. And again, I realize they may be in different places. So for the new kids, obviously, they're going to be starting off from scratch. But for the old kids, where did you leave off? Do you remember where in terms of the...
Yeah, we made it through lesson 12, which was using healthcare treatment and services in a way that works for you, and then we'd be picking off lesson 13. But we were thinking what we may do is have one group at the beginning of the group kind of to reintroduce KEY and kind of use the kids who've been here to introduce the group to the other kids, and then kind of, just because, even though the curriculum does have some flow to it, I do think that the kids who are coming in new could probably pick up. I just think that want to take one group for the other members that have been here a while to kind of introduce the concept of what the idea is so that they can kind of get integrated.
You know, I think that naturally sort of makes a lot of sense in terms of also giving the kids ownership of the group and, you know, having a kind of already, you know, sort of natural leadership group in there.
Exactly.
When you left with the kids who were in it, you know, what's your sense of how engaged they were, how invested they were at the time that you had to hold off?
It was pretty good. It would kind of depend lesson to lesson. You know, we'd have one group where there would be something that struck a chord and we'd get a lot of, you know, input and a lot of enthusiasm. There'd be others that just didn't really strike quite as much, but overall, it was pretty solid.
Okay. And so am I hearing sort of relatively some cohesion there in terms of a group kind of forming, gelling?
Definitely. I mean,
great.
Primarily, the kids in the group all live in the same like transition age unit in a residence program, so the cohesion is fairly natural because you know they're together all the time. So the group cohesion, and they're in groups otherwise outside of this one as well. So I do think the cohesion in some ways for us is a little built in, which is kind of nice.
Okay, great. Well, and I also say that because again, if that group is kind of built in and you have some cohesion already, but also a little bit of cohesion within the KEY group, then yeah, I think that's a natural. I think it's a natural place to give those kids who've gone through a little bit more, a little opportunity to lead and
exactly.
Yeah, great. So just a quick moment, and again, I would probably say that you know, Brittany and Emily, you know, when I get out for the site visits, I mean, I think that I'll have an opportunity to go into more depth around, you know, specific things. But for anyone, I always do like to take a moment just to share any specifics, any things, any, you know, highlights, any things that have gone on with the group that you want to share, that are, you know, highlights or actually lowlights as well, struggles that you've had. And this is for everyone, Andrew as well. I mean, I know you're getting going, you know, but even with regards to, you know, the group before it took a hiatus, or in terms of getting it going again. But any stories you want to share?
I mean, I would say from the Goldsmith end, one of the lessons that really struck a chord was actually the last group that we did, which was around healthcare treatment and services, because the kids got, you know, all of our kids are like 17, 18, so they're all at that age where they're developing some ambivalence around their psychotropic medication, and they have a lot of feelings about their diagnoses, and most of them have been in some form of treatment or care since they were like 5 or 6 and on medication that long as well. So we got into a really good conversation around medication and the effects and how you can work with providers around your medication and all that kind of stuff. And we even brought our psychiatric nurse practitioner into that group to kind of speak with the kids as well. And it was just really, I think, meaningful for the kids and helpful, and they felt kind of empowered throughout the process, and it was really cool. It was a really enjoyable conversation.
Great. And that's I think it's also in terms of bringing someone, again, that was something that was a theme or something that we always talked about, sort of encourage sites to do. So it sounds like that really worked well. What else about that do you think made it work? Obviously very relevant.
At that point, you know, the kids had been, since that was kind of our last lesson, the kids had been together for like 12 consecutive weeks doing the group, so I think they were kind of in the rhythm, kind of in the routine. And it was just really at that point, you know, we would kind of present the topic with, and one of the things that I started doing with our kids, because visuals really help, is we kind of create a little PowerPoint to go along with the group lesson to give them like bullet talking points. And even make some lists, and I think that when we do that, it helps concretize it for them and helps them really engage with it. So, but we kind of would put the bullet points up and let them go where they wanted to go with it, and when they have that ownership of it, they seem to really enjoy it and be more engaged.
Okay, and that's I know a couple of other sites have talked about using PowerPoint slides. Effectively. Actually, I got to get out and start making a plea to have folks send us whatever PowerPoint slides they've used, if they can. So great. And then, as you said, having your psychiatric nurse practitioner there, I think that it sounds like that helped as well. Having someone who can answer their questions and who actually does a little bit of the management of the medications. Great.
Exactly.
Anything else?
I mean, that was, you know, I think that was just one example, but all the lessons kind of went that way. Like I said, there were certain ones that I think the kids felt were kind of redundant, maybe not so much based on the KEY program, but just in terms of where they were in their treatment. Otherwise, it was like, you know, coming at a time where it was something that they'd been hearing or talking about consistently, and they were like, oh, this again. But I don't think that was so much for the group programming. I think it was just because of where they were at in their treatment. But otherwise,
right,
things went well.
Okay. Emily, Brittany, anything you want to share?
I think I really am enjoying our group, even though it was a little smaller than we thought. This is Brett, by the way, sorry.
No.
I think that now, you know, this late into it, there's some great group dynamics going on. There's a lot of support. Everyone is comfortable talking about things. I really enjoy doing the mental health piece with our kids, and like Josh said, you know, they felt empowered, and we made these little, I don't know if we talked about this last time, but we made these little cards that they can bring, like little laminated cards that they can put in their pocket or purse or wallet, and it has like questions they should be asking their doctors, and You know, why are they on medications? What does their diagnosis mean? Are there any medications that they shouldn't take with their medications, et cetera? And I think it's really, you know, we're helping them obviously empower them to make good decisions, which is what this is about, but I'm kind of seeing them grow into like little mature adults on some topics, and it's really cool to watch.
Awesome. And that's a nice piece. Now, and again, I think it's a great idea. I think it's something we encourage. Any evidence for you that they're using those? Have they shared using them, or have they found them? Have they sort of given you feedback that they're helpful?
Well, they have them in, a couple of the boys had them in their wallets and pulled them out like the next lesson later on. But they go to med reviews about once a month. So not all of them see our doctors at Kids Oneida, but it's definitely something that we can follow up on and ask. It would be
interesting. Well, and you know what? I mean, even seeing them keep it in their wallet and have it in their wallet, to me, I think is, you know, that they didn't sort of throw it in the circular file is a great sign. So, and you know, just behaviorally, you know, it's great to see. If they pulled it out, they still have it in their wallet. Who knows? At some point, they may actually bring it out when they actually need it. Great. And you did that also for the mental health services section, or the mental health kind of?
We did it for, I believe it was, well, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was the one right before the mental health, making informed decisions about your health care.
Okay.
But we kind of wrapped it up in that because they're most likely are going to be seeing their psychiatrist, more VP. But we liked the stigma one. We did a PowerPoint with a bunch of celebrities who are kind of on the forefront of either advocating for mental health or who have come forward and said that they struggle with their mental health issues. And I think the kids really connected with that.
Great. And that was also addressing sort of issues around stigma and talking about mental illness. And great. Okay. Emily, anything you want to share about how things are going and successes and highlights, or again lowlights as well?
Overall, I really like the group, and apparently group members do too, because now I have the majority of them going through it a second time. With that being said, I am trying to change things up a little bit, almost taking it up a step. And like I said before everyone got on the call, it's really just me acting here on the group, trying to gather, obviously, food, because teenagers around dinner time without food is not enjoyable, and activities and, you know, all of those things. Is there a way that we could possibly create a forum or something so that we could share these ideas? Because when I'm on the calls, I hear a lot of good ideas that I'd like to implement.
Well, great. So now, a little bit. I know this was just once, but the mid-project webinar was a great opportunity and a great time when sites shared a few of these things. Kids Oneida, actually, Brittany and her crew over there did a presentation. All of that is on the web. So specific ideas that she shared, also Pedersen Craig, our site down here in Long Island, they presented, and they gave us, they provided the PowerPoints for their presentations. Well, actually, Brittany, I don't think you had a PowerPoint. I think is that right? I can't remember. But I know some of the things and the activities that you sent along were in there.
Yeah, we sent it. I think you put it in slides for us.
Yeah. But Pedersen, Craig, and again, in those, so if you go to the KEY website, on there's PowerPoints that have the presentations that they shared with ideas that they have used and implemented on sort of engagement.
Okay.
And well, not only engagement, a number of other areas, just activities that they use that were off the workbook. They're not necessarily in the workbook, but they found really helpful early on for engagement, and then for specific modules and for specific sessions as they went along. So there's that. But I think also to your point, I mean, I think I will pull a call out, but, you know, Andrew, again, anything that you can share with us, again, if you're willing, then we can always make that public and put it on the website. So the PowerPoint slides that you use or the bullets, even if they're sort of minimal, that would be great. And Brittany, yeah, I mean, if you want to share that, the laminate that you put together for kids, that would be great, and we can put those on the website as well, and make sure everyone knows about it.
Yeah, I could absolutely. I was actually reviewing them, and they're actually, I had them in the form of Word documents because we kind of typed into them as we were doing them. So I have them for a few lessons, not for all the ones we did, but I'll send you the ones that I have.
Right.
And I think it actually includes like the lists and stuff that the kids kind of came up with while we were doing it on it. So.
Great, great. So to answer your question, Emily, I think we have tried to sort of make those available, but also I also want to put it, you know, to you now again, if you have, you know, if you have any questions, or the call is the best forum, the webinar is the best forum in some ways to sort of get, you know, thoughts and feedback and or suggestions.
For some reason, when I went to, anytime I go to look at the PowerPoint on the website, it won't work for me, but I think it's just my computer here at work.
Okay. And if that's the case, let me know, because I have all of those. So if you'd like, I mean, I can just send you via email the stuff that was uploaded.
Oh,
so
okay, perfect.
Yeah, so I'll just do that.
Thank you.
So there's a few things on there that I think can be helpful. So anything that's on the website, I'll just send it to you via email.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, but also anything? Well, no, actually, because you've already ramped up your new group.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how are things going with that group? How was the you know, sort of first engagement and sort of getting them in and all that?
It was good. I was a little worried because I only had a couple new ones, and then everyone else has been through the group, so they know each other very well. But they were extremely welcoming to the new ones in the group, and everyone appeared very comfortable, more so than the first time around. So it went very well. And they're excited about doing the group again, but with some changes this time around and learning new things.
Okay. All right. And in terms of new things, have you know, what are some of the things that you've thought about?
I'm having more guest speakers. So I'm going to be having someone from the local YMCA come in and talk about health and wellness. I am actually trying to get someone in from a yoga studio to do breathing techniques. I'm having, it depends on who signs off on this consent, but I'm having someone from our local Planned Parenthood come in and talk about sex education, things like that.
Great. Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting that you say that, because I think, you know, all the topics that we have in there, I think are relevant, good topics mostly. I mean, some more so than others, obviously, but they all are important for kids. But, you know, it does, when you think about it, I mean, an hour per session, unless you go further out, isn't a whole lot of time. So I think it's a nice follow-up to that, to go a little deeper, or to look at it a little differently by bringing in guest speakers in other ways. Great. All righty. And so, Andrew, I think with what we're talking about now as well, I can shoot you an email, but oh, hold on. Do we have anybody else on the call? I see somebody else joined. Okay. Okay, gotcha. So I saw a note. And Pam, I see that you've joined, but you're not on the call. So if you do want to call in, just go to the event info tab, and you can get the call-in information. We can get updates. But again, Andrew, I think what I'd like to do is, you know, start talking also about following up and setting up, if we can, a little visit there. I think I mentioned, so actually this is a good segue to again, sort of what we're going to be trying to do with collecting some of the performance indicators. You know, again, I think I've mentioned this often that, you know, we didn't put a huge premium on data for this. This wasn't a research project. The primary focus was on the Learning Collaborative and having you all share your experiences with us. So, and in general, we're getting really good feedback from sites that it's relevant for the kids, that the materials are helpful for the adults, that the overall that the program is going really well. So we do want to try to collect some data. So as we've talked about before, the attendance is really a very critical one. So, and people have been really good about giving us their attendance logs. The discontinuation forms for, you know, those kids who do end up dropping out or discontinuing, the discontinuation forms are helpful, of course, to sort of at least identify some of the reasons why they're leaving. The helpfulness scale was built into the workbook. We're not getting a whole lot of those, but if kids are filling them out, so it's the lesson by lesson indicator of how helpful the young people feel about each particular lesson. And then the personal progress checklist, which is that first appendix in the workbook that has this kind of like a little goal sheet that kids can use, that young people can use if they want. And you know, we've seen some. I've done a couple. Well, no, I'm sorry. I should say I've done one site where I've done the record review, and a couple of kids have at least written down some goals and done some tracking, which I was surprised about, and they were really relevant goals that they were working on. So, and then the additional data that we've talked about before, one is the future orientation scale, and that's also on the site, and I think I've sent it around via mail. But the future orientation scale, which is a one-time measure of future orientation, it asks kids to sort of consider their futures with regards to a number of different areas in their lives, you know, sort of quality of life questions, whether they think the quality of their lives are going to be, you know, positive, whether they're going to have a better life, whether they're going to be able to get jobs, whether they're going to be able to take care of themselves in the future. So a number of questions about their sense of the future, and we wanted to collect that because we wanted to see at least if, you know, there's, again, we can't see change because we're only going to be doing it as a post only, but I think it is a nice indicator of, you know, to what degree that kids are oriented towards the future. So that's an additional thing that we asked for sites to collect. We've gotten a few of those back. And then lastly, the workbook reviews, and again, it was a suggestion that was made just to give us a sense of, you know, what, if anything, kids are working on. And as I said, you know, going back to the training, you know, we were clear in the training that we had no expectation that you as facilitators and group leaders were going to be in any way treating this as homework, as you know, work that had to be checked on. And so we realized it was you know, the training had to do a lot with letting the kids use the book as they see fit. So we realized that we might not be getting a whole lot. Again, although the first workbook review I did was kind of telling, there wasn't a lot in there, but there was a pattern obviously to what kids completed. They all seemed to complete the same things, and there were parts of it that they did actually pay attention to. So it will be helpful to get a sense of that across sites. And so what I've been doing, and as you heard, Andrew, I've been working with Kids United to go up and set up time to visit them and collect the workbooks, look at the workbooks, and then have a small, you know, sort of focus group. I guess in Emily's case, that's not a focus group, that's an individual interview on how the project is going. But actually, Emily, I'm glad you said that. If you could have some others there, I think it would be great to get the perspectives of your supervisor and, you know, program director, because we do believe that's kind of an important part of all of this work, is getting the support of you know, the people you're accountable to.
Okay.
So that's, and our timeline at this point is to try to get this all, and of course, actually, you know, Emily, I realize, you know, our visit is going to be, well, actually, for Kids Oneida, we're going to be going past the October 3rd deadline. But if whatever you can get me before October 3rd would be great. But I'm also not that concerned because the primary purpose, and this is the last thing I want to say, is that so if you have data that you can send to me by October 30th, that would be great. But it's not going to be that necessary because what we have decided to do is the final KEY webinar, where we hope to be able to at least summarize some of this data and give you some information about that and about how kids are doing, is going to be Tuesday, December 15th from 12 to 1. And so we have time to collect data. So those visits, the information that I get from you all on those visits, you know, is something that we can integrate and use for the final KEY webinar, which is going to be a kind of wrap up and, you know, a little summary of how the project went overall.
Hey,
so that's where we're at. Yeah.
I just wanted to share, Tiffany and I spent a lot of time talking about our next go-around with KEY. We're planning to start probably in February. But one of the things that we talked about, we had a really difficult time with like the goal planner and the tracking. The kids did great with the lesson helpfulness, but they really struggled to like write down goals and stay on top of it, and we struggled with it as well. But we talked about doing like a journaling component at the end of each group, and maybe having the kids talk about what resonated with them, what they want to work on, and then us responding to them in between the groups. And then that way we would have a visual of, like a way to interact with them to say, like, are you still working on this? What is this looking like for you, et cetera. But I thought that would be easier than doing a tracking sheet.
Right.
Because they didn't really, I don't think they really connected with that, our population anyways.
I think that would be, I think it's a good way to keep kids engaged. I think that if you feel that that will be a good way of tracking their thinking about these issues, and again, not homework, obviously it doesn't sound like it is, but again, giving them some opportunity to think about how the day went and what they kind of pulled out and what they might use, I think that would be great. And we are rethinking that. And again, I think the workbook reviews are going to be helpful for that purpose. So I can't give you the evaluation that we have yet because we're going to do the workbook reviews, but I take you on your word that because I don't think it's happening at many sites, that those action steps that we have them do at the end of every lesson, those aren't very helpful. But again, I'll be able to see across sites how many have. And just out of curiosity, Emily, Andrew, have you guys had any success with that?
From the Goldsmith end, not too much. I mean, there have been a couple isolated groups where, again, if it was like a hot topic that the kids were really engaged in, they were more willing to look at the action steps, but I'd say for the most part the follow-through on that was fairly weak. Okay.
Okay. And yeah, so it's something that we're gonna have to look at. But I'll be curious to see if we're able to get out there, Andrew, to look at the workbooks and see what they did put in there. But I think at this point, Brittany, I think that's fine. I think as you move forward, if you think that is a way to at least get feedback and get some ideas about what, if anything, I would say that if you can at least use the purpose and the goal of the action stepping, which is to say, get them to think about how, if any way, the material helped them to think differently about the issues, and what, if anything, they may. Again, you could set it up as you wish, but I think that it would be interesting to see if at least you have those couple of prompts, or get them to think a little bit about what might have what resonated with them, or obviously in kid-friendly language, but what they found really helpful, what might they use, and what, if anything, they might think about changing. That would be a sort of great way, if it's in journal format and serves the same purpose. That would be the one thing I would throw out there and ask for. Okay. So, any other questions, comments, thoughts?
Not on Kitsonida's end. We're good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, not on Goldsmith's end. And I mean, James, we would be open to the idea of a site visit. I just guess we'd need more information on terms of like, would that mean sitting in on a group or just speaking with the facilitators and kind of what that looks like.
Yeah, and what I'll do, Andrew, is I'll send you briefly, as I said before, and this is what it would sort of entail, is that if you're able to get the workbooks that the young people have been using, and hold them, I would go there. Excuse me?
I have them.
So, okay, great. So it would involve two things. One is me having time alone with the workbooks to do my review of them, and it's just a checklist to see what, if anything, they've completed. And then, as I mentioned, yes, some time to do kind of a quasi-focus group, and again, at your convenience when it works for you and your staff, but to do kind of a focus group on and debrief on the experience, what worked, in a little bit more depth than what we do on the webinars. So that's what it would entail. But I'll email you, Andrew, and we'll see if we can work something out.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. All right. If anything else?
No, and just as an aside, I do have attendance tracking and discontinuation up to when we took our hiatus, and I'll email that to you as an attachment today.
Okay. Or the other thing is, if we're able to set something up relatively soon, like in November, then I can just collect that all when I get out there.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I'll
we'll
send
see.
you what I get so I don't forget, and then we can, if we have updates.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Okay, folks. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to doing these visits, and we already have 2 set up, and hopefully we'll be able to set something else up soon, Andrew. But Emily and Brittany, I'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, we look forward to it. Thanks, Jem.
All right. Awesome. Take care.
Bye.